Good morning. I'm Alan Stout, Vice President here at Cedarwood, and this morning I am talking with Cassie Day, our Cedar Shake and Shingle Manager. So Cassie's in charge of not just selling and pricing shakes and shingles, but she's also in charge of purchasing. And we felt it was be beneficial to have an update on what is happening with the tariff. We've had a lot of conversations about the tariff recently, and since a good chunk of our cedar shakes and shingles come from Canada, this affects not only the overall market, but it also affects orders coming across the border. So with that, Cassie, why don't you take it away and and let's have this little discussion about what's happening with tariffs. So what's going on with tariffs, Cassie?
So the challenge with tariffs right now is really the answer is nobody really knows. There is so much up and down. There's so much uncertainty. Prices are, I'm going to say, just a little less stable than they have been. Kind of a little bit high right now. Demand is extremely high right now for all Canadian fiber because everybody's trying to get as much over the border as they can in these moments where we are tariff free. As of yesterday, President Trump did say that he's putting another pause on tariffs. The pause does affect us. So as of yesterday, March 6th, we are no longer being tariffed. We are free of that until April 2nd. As of April 2nd, nobody knows what's going to happen. This is affecting the entire forestry industry, though, which is kind of the challenge because you don't just go into a cedar forest. It's not like you're going to the nursery to pick out plants and you just pick out all the plum trees. If they're not out collecting hemlock and harvesting other trees, they're not harvesting cedar either. There's been a little bit of a slowdown in the kind of dimensional market in that regard. With tariffs, what we know is that as of March 4th, when they were in place, our price from the mill goes up 25%. And that's going to be as of the time that the tariff is in place. We don't have any control over that. I'm on the board of directors with the Cedar Shake and Shingle Bureau. And after kind of discussing with them a little bit today, as they are working with their local government up in Canada and trying to do everything that they can to lobby against tariffs for us. Because at the end of the day, it really does directly impact our prices to contractors, our prices to lumber yards, and everyone's price to the homeowners at the end of the day. So it's hard because there's just so much uncertainty. We don't know. We can't really predict what's going to happen because there's been, oh, there's tariffs. There's not. There's tariffs for 2 days and they're gone again, which is kind of just creating a really volatile market.
Hmm. So Cassie, is there any indication? Let me ask, what do you think that people should turn to for the most reliable information about this? You know, different news sources might be good quality or not good quality. What are you finding to be the most reliable news source for knowing whether or not we're going to have a tariff in a given month?
There's really no news source that knows one way or the other. That we know what they know. They're even, just depending on what kind of side of the field you're on. If you're in the left field and watching CNN, they have the same information as the right field watching Fox News. One place that does have just the facts listed is typically going to be whitehouse.gov, like the president or not. They are listing kind of, hey, this is what happened. This is what's happening. This is as of today, without a lot of partisan influx to that. It's just bullet points of, yes, there's a tariff. These things are exempt from the tariff. These things are not.
So, just along with this, is there any indication that that we might know one way or another what Trump is up to in this way? Like, is there any indication? Like, we have a month of certainty and then uncertainty, then another month of certainty, then uncertainty. Is there something he's trying to achieve with all of this that we know
So
about?
the hardest thing is Trump has said the tariffs are really going to be to reduce fentanyl and illegal immigration. From the southern border, we have a lot of both, quite frankly. From the northern border with our friends up in Canada, where we're getting the majority of our shakes from, fentanyl isn't really a huge problem, but illegal immigration really is.
Hmm.
We don't have any metrics as to what do those changes need to look like? What is better? Okay, well, it's better than it was the first time tariffs were supposed to be implemented back in February. Okay, well, the Mexican cartel or government released 19 cartel members to the US to face legal consequences. The Canadian border caught enough fentanyl to kill 10,000 people. And so, even though those are good changes, good progress, we still saw that March 4th tariff being added.
Hmm.
There's not really a way to know. There's no clear indications that we've seen as to what needs to happen to avoid tariffs. The other thing that we've been hearing more recently is that tariffs are not just to try to control the border. Tariffs are also, well, hey, Canada has these tariffs on us and Mexico has these tariffs on us, and we're just trying to get back what is owed to us as a country. A lot of the tariffs that Canada has on the United States is going to be more agricultural, more with dairy, eggs. I know they have about a 278% tariff on some of those items from the US to Canada. So, as kind of more conversations are happening between the countries, we're going to really start to see, okay, what is the real purpose of these tariffs? Is it truly going to be, let's stop fentanyl, let's close our borders, here's what we need to do, here's a clear plan that we can follow to make sure we can keep the tariffs off? Or, hey, we've made some progress, but not enough, so you're still going to see maybe a 12% tariff. And it's just hard to see kind of what is going to happen at the end of the day because we're hearing kind of mixed messages from the White House. Like President Trump or not, he is our leader. And that's kind of what everybody's at today, is that we don't really know. We're hearing mixed messages.
So if I am a lumberyard or a homeowner or even a two-step distributor, um, knowing when to buy, I think is a big question. And I know it's a little bit of a crystal ball question, but how would you walk me through making a purchasing decision in terms of timing? Should we buy
Um,
now? Should we buy in a couple months? Should we place an order and let us see? When should we be buying?
what we know today is that there is no tariff today until at least April 2nd. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be a tariff on April 3rd. So right now we can price protect that as long as we can get it to cross the border before that point, depending on if you're wanting a like a custom cut job, if you're wanting something that's been fire treated or CCA treated with Canadian fiber, we need to get that going as soon as possible. What we are seeing in the market because of the uncertainty is prices are rising. Sometimes it's $5 to $10 a square, sometimes it's a little bit more than that. And with those rising prices, really, I'm going to say right now is the time to buy. As a company, I decided to take in um, about 2.5 full truckloads of extra inventory above what we normally stock, simply to try to price protect some orders with this uncertainty in the market.
And another question I have is, I know there's still some American cedar mills out there,
Mhm.
somebody making hand split shakes too. 18-inch perfections. Yes, there's the 5X, but um, is there a reason that we can't just use American fiber as opposed to the Canadian fiber to fill most of our roofing jobs?
We can use American fiber. American fiber tends to be, it's really good. I like American fiber. I don't love it. Canadian fiber tends to grow a little bit slower. The grains tend to be a little bit tighter. And the mills in Canada, for the most part, not always have been around a little bit longer than some of the American mills that we work with. That being said, I wouldn't work with an American mill if I didn't trust in it. So anything that you're going to get from us that's going to be from an American mill is something I'm going to put, my stamp of approval on for sure. The thing though with the tariffs and the log prices in Canada being a little bit high right now, that's also forcing increased demand on the American supply.
Mhm.
So the American logs are going to be getting more expensive, and that's going to reflect in our price that we get from them. If the Canadian mills are making an extra 25% because of the tariff, there's no reason that the US mills wouldn't follow with a price increase because that's where the market's at.
Mhm.
If you're buying perfections from Canada, say at $600 a square, and you're buying them from the United States at $350 a square, they're the US mills, even though they're usually a little bit less expensive than the Canadian mills, are still leaving quite a bit of money on the table in that regard. So we're going to see price increases from the US mills as well when tariffs happen. And it's not because of greedy mill owners, it's because the log prices go up because the log demand's higher.
So in the last time we had a tariff before this one lasted for a couple of years, it was the Section 232 tariff. And it was, I forget the exact amount that it went up, But eventually, it was on all forest products, but eventually it was taken off. And do you think and the amounts that were collected were actually refunded to people that filed for the refund? Do you think there's any chance of that happening with this current tariff?
That goes back to a question that we don't know the answers to. There was a little bit of, with the last tariff, with cedar shakes and shingles in particular, they weren't supposed to be tariffed, which is why that refund was offered
Mhm.
for that. If they're saying that all Canadian goods have to be tariffed at 25%, that includes everything, and there's no exemptions available to that.
Mm.
If they say, hey, these forest products have to be tariffed at 25%, these forest products at 10%, these forest products don't have a tariff, that's where some of that confusion came from previously.
Mhm.
And we're hoping to avoid that. I would not anticipate ever trying to wait on, well, maybe that we'll um, get a refund on this tariff. It's really going to be, hey, this is what the tariff is.
Mhm.
Um, if a refund happens, a refund happens, but there's really going to be no way for us as a company, for the mills who would be the ones actually getting the refund, to make sure that we could get that back to the end consumer.
Got it. And so if I want a price quote today, obviously you can tell me what the price from for Canadian wood or fire treated wood, you can tell me what the price is going to be today. But should I price in that extra 25% to customers?
So, as a contractor or as a lumberyard, what we're doing to our customers on everything that's coming out of Canada right now is there is a disclaimer on all of our order confirmations that's saying pricing subject to change depending on tariff at time of shipment, because there's kind of that escalator clause. I know some other jobs that use wood products, that's kind of a normal clause to have in there because it's a commodity that's price changes frequently. Um, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you're putting it out to a customer, to a homeowner, to say, hey, we're estimating this to be ready and over the border in 3.5 weeks. That being said, if Canada freezes and they can't run their mills, they can't run their equipment, that 3 weeks can turn into 5 weeks, which is unfortunate, and we could hit that tariff. So we just have to make sure that everybody understands. From talking to homeowners and other people who have had jobs close this last week, everyone's pretty well aware that this is what's going to happen. It's going to be, hey, if a tariff happens, it happens, and it's not us trying to make extra money on the side. It's literally just not over the border, and the mills have to pay that, and we have to pay that to the mills.
Right. So if folks have a project, it needs to be on the ground at the mills and ship as soon as possible, even if we're holding on to it for a little bit of time,
Yeah,
so that we're not crunched for time and trying to get a truck across the
exactly.
border, and then there's an
And for
issue.
some of our more local contractors here, especially, and we're willing to do it for anybody, we can bring things into our yard and we can actually store them for you. If you're like, hey, this project doesn't start for 6 months, in 6 months, nobody knows what the market's going to be doing.
It's true.
If I had a crystal ball and I could tell you, I would be a rich lady.
Hmm.
And I don't. But what we can do is say, hey, you know, this project starts in 6 months. I don't have storage for that. What can we work on together?
Hmm.
I'm always more than happy to work with people to make sure that they can make their end customer happy. We've been doing that for one of our customers who we had a good price on some hand split shakes a while ago, and we've been storing about 20 pallets of them for them. Uh, because for them, they're able to make their end customer happy. And now looking at their project getting ready to get going and off the ground, they would have been paying about $200 a square more than they did back then.
Yeah.
And they're storing it for about 5 months with us just because of the uncertainty of the tariffs, the log supply at this time of year.
Yeah, it's neat. You figured out as our company is transitioning to a larger warehouse space to be able to do that for customers of all kinds, one to wholesale distribution. It's great to be able to offer that to our customers. Just two more questions, and one of those is, okay, hypothetically, or if you could pull the levers, would you have a tariff at all on incoming shakes and shingles? Is it good or bad for the industry? Should there be something? What's your take? Just what should there be? I'm curious.
So the shake and shingle industry is very unique in the way that it really is crucial to be able to work back and forth. Um, in order for wood to be certified fire treated by the Cedar Shake and Shingle Bureau, it has to go up to a fire treatment facility That's in Canada. So even if you send US wood to be fire treated, you have to send it into Canada,
Mm.
and then they have to send it back. Putting a tariff on shakes and shingles, realistically, with what a hurting industry it already is today, with so many readily available composites,
Mhm.
vinyl siding choices that people go with, you know, asphalt roofing people are going with, just because of ease and access. Putting an additional price on already a very expensive building material and really a luxury building material isn't going to help our industry to grow and to maintain the traction that it has today. It also makes it much harder for us to work with our partners in Canada. When I say partners, they truly are. They're people I call at least once or twice a week. I text with. We have a great relationship because we know how to work together regardless of what country we're from. The tariff really isn't going to help benefit the mills. It's not going to help benefit our end consumer. And it's as a kind of middleman there, it doesn't benefit us at all because we aren't able to give, clear, concise answers to our
Mm.
customers. And we're not able to get clear, concise answers because nobody really has any clarity on it.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you'd say shakes and shingles are really a different beast than say 2x4 Doug fir. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And just with the differences in how fiber grows in Canada versus the United States, there's just, like I said, Canadian fiber does tend to be a little bit nicer than US fiber. That's not saying that Canadian mills are better or, US mills are worse at all. It's just that the way the trees in Canada grow, the way that they have the Fraser River there, where, literally booms of logs are brought down with tugboats. Um, that's an infrastructure that really isn't in this country anymore. The fire treatment plant, we don't have one here. I am working with the Bureau on getting a CCA treatment plant in the United States certified. So we have another option, at least for CCA treatment for US wood.
Hmm.
Um, but the shake and shingle industry, it's a small industry.
Mhm.
It's kind of one of those everybody knows everybody industries.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not a dying industry by any means, but it is an industry that definitely has to maintain kind of every bit of ground it has and every bit of leeway as people do look for composites, do look for, vinyl and hardy and other alternative building materials because cedar is, it's been around forever. And it's a phenomenal building material, which is, again, I wouldn't sell something I don't believe in, and I firmly believe in cedar.
Wonderful. Just my last question is, what other questions should I be asking? Should our customers be asking? What did I miss in this brief conversation?
I think the most important thing is just to listen. If your customer's saying that, hey, I'm kind of hemming and hawing about this, I'm looking at this, that, and the other thing, and just making sure that we're offering clarity to our customers
Mhm.
as much as we have, and just say, hey, pricing subject to change due to tariffs. Nobody really understands. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. I don't know if Trump even knows what's going to happen next.
Mhm.
I don't know if, Trudeau knows or the president of Mexico knows or
Mhm.
China. Um, it's really just being able to listen to, okay, well, you have your roof open. There is a leaking hole in it. We need to get you an option now.
Mhm.
Or, hey, I'm thinking of remodeling my house. I want to put cedar on the sidewalls, and really making sure that we can nail down what they want and what their time frame is.
Mhm.
And if we need to speed that time frame up on our part, we do everything we can to hold their hand and assist them along the way.
Very good. Very good. All right, Cassie, any final comments?
No, I appreciate you guys for listening to me ramble on. You know,
Well, I appreciate you being willing to spend the time and effort to really understand what is happening with the tariffs, give us some clarity, even though clarity is unclear, but some clarity on knowing how to make our decisions about tariffs with respect to the shake and shingle purchases coming up at least for this year or so, and to just be in touch both with our customers and also with our vendors, and to make sure that we're doing the best for everybody we can.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I want to thank everybody who is watching this for their time and attention. I want to thank you, Cassie, for your efforts here, and I wish everyone having a wonderful time. And please keep us in mind for any shake or shingle projects that come your way. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
everybody.
care.